This video isn't about guilt, it's about clarity, what real inclusion actually looks like. You can have women on your team, still have meetings where their ideas get repeated back by a man 5 minutes later, and that's when it gets credited. Representation without inclusion is just people in the room who don't get heard. Assertive men are often read as strong leaders, while assertive women are often read as difficult. A man who has children is often assumed to be more stable, more responsible. A woman who has children is frequently, even unconsciously sometimes, assumed to be less committed. Same life event, opposite interpretation. Every time a capable woman leaves because she's tired of proving herself, twice as hard for half the recognition. That's institutional knowledge walking out the door. None of these show up in a policy document, but they show up in who gets promoted, who gets heard, and who eventually leaves. Today, I want to talk about women's inclusion at work. Not as a feel-good initiative, not as a box-ticking exercise for maybe even International Women's Day, but as something that directly affects whether your organization actually performs and thrives at its best. I'm Funmi Adegbola, and I've spent so many years working inside several organizations on safety. I've sat in rooms where we value diversity, sits right on the wall, and I've watched the same rooms promote men over equally qualified women. Meetings after meetings without anyone even noticing the pattern. This video isn't about guilt, it's about clarity. What real inclusion actually looks like. Why it's harder than a poster on the wall, and what actually moves the needle. Inclusion isn't the same as representation. And I just want to start with that. And so also please sit with that. A lot of organizations celebrate hitting a number. 40% of our workforce is women and treat that as the finish line. But representation without inclusion is just people in the room who don't get heard. You can have women on your team, and guess what? Still have meetings where their ideas get repeated back by a man 5 minutes later, and that's when it gets credited. Maternity leave that quietly resets someone's career's trajectory, even though nothing was said outright? Or is it a leadership pipeline where women are excellent at supporting, but rarely deciding? Inclusion isn't about who's in the building. It's about who gets to shape the decisions, who gets stretched assignments, and who gets the benefit of the doubt when things go wrong. What about the quiet barriers nobody puts in a policy? Let's touch on that. Let's sit on that for a second. Most exclusion isn't intentional or dramatic. It is quiet and it compounds. The likability trap, for example. Research and lived experiences both point to the same thing, that what? Assertive men are often read as strong leaders, while assertive women are often read as difficult. That single double standard shapes who gets promoted, who gets pushed back, and who gets labeled not ready yet. Or is it the motherhood penalty? A woman who has children is frequently, even unconsciously sometimes, assumed to be less committed. A man who has children is often assumed to be more stable, more responsible, same life event, opposite interpretation. Or is it the access to informal networks? A huge amount of career advancement doesn't happen in performance reviews. It actually happens in informal conversations, after work outings, golf games, WhatsApp group of the guys. When women are structurally excluded from those informal spaces, they miss the sponsorship and visibility that quietly drives promotion. Is it being the only? Being the only woman in a leadership meeting? That in itself comes with its own tax, where you're constantly calculating how to be taken seriously without being seen as too much, too soft, too aggressive, too emotional. That's cognitive load our male colleagues simply don't carry. None of these show up in a policy document, but they show up in who gets promoted, who gets heard, and who eventually leaves, sadly. Why this conversation is a business issue and not just a fairness issue is simply because the parts that get skipped in a lot of these conversations such as today, that isn't just about fairness, it's about performance. Organizations with genuinely diverse leadership consistently make better decisions, not because women are inherently better decision makers, but because diverse groups challenge groupthink. When everyone in the room has a similar background and similar assumptions, blind spots go unchallenged. When they don't, someone in the room is far more likely to ask, wait, have we considered this? So exclusion also has a direct cost. Every time a capable woman leaves because she's tired of proving herself twice as hard for half the recognition, that's institutional knowledge walking out the door and a recruitment and onboarding cost you didn't need to pay. Inclusion isn't charity, it's risk management and better decision making dressed up as culture work. What actually works? What works and what will work is in order for us to move from it being a poster on the wall to something real. You may want to ask, well, let's fix the pipeline, not just the entry point. Look at who gets stretched projects, who gets sponsored for leadership tracks, who gets put forward for promotion, not just who gets hired. Make flexibility a structural policy and not individual negotiation. If flexible work only exists because someone was brave enough to ask for it, it's not a policy, it's a privilege. Separate parental leave from career penalty. Track promotion and pay outcomes for people who take leave versus those who don't. If there's a gap, that's your answer. Sponsor, don't just mentor. Mentors give advice. Sponsors use their own credibility to open doors and put someone's name in the room when they're not there. Women are often over-mentored and under-sponsored. Audit your meetings from today. Who talks the most? Whose ideas get credited? It's a small, uncomfortable exercise and it's often revealing. None of this requires a huge budget, by the way. It requires leaders willing to look honestly at patterns they'd rather not see. So, as I leave you today, real inclusion isn't measured by how many women you hire, it's measured by how many you keep, how many you promote, and how many feel safe enough to speak up in the room without calculating the cost first. Now, if this made you think of someone at your workplace, perhaps a woman who's brilliant but overlooked, or a policy that looks good on paper but doesn't hold up in practice, I would love you to drop a comment. I want to hear about it. If this was useful as well in any shape or form, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.